Well, just watch the tape, I guess. What do you think?
You know, we could have played a lot cleaner. I was disappointed in some of the plays we left on tape. I think we played 77 snaps. 60 of them as good as you want to see, you know. But there's still that dozen plays or so every game where we do something that we really worked on. The kids were keyed in on it. They seemed to make a mistake. Had obviously a couple of ugly pass plays. One was a miscommunication out back. The other one we cut somebody loose in man. And you know, but overall, they're a good football team. I think that obviously, talent-wise, we you know, had better players, but they are a football team. We got to give them credit. They can execute. They know what they're doing. They know who they are, and their precision of the routes and some of the things. Made some great catches. You know, we could have played better, but I thought we did improve in some areas.
Ellis, is it just making adjustments these early in the season to be credited maybe some of the slow starts you guys have had on defense?
Well, really, the other day we started pretty good, other than one play.
Yeah.
You know, we got a 75-yard touchdown on one busted communication between two players. But it is what it is. You know, whether one player messes up or 6 players get blocked, you know, it still causes the same problem. But really, the other parts of the early part of the game, other than we caused a fumble the first play. The face mask was not a penalty. There was no face mask on that play. Somebody had the head about like this, you know, and what can you do? That's 1st and 10 for Auburn on the 22-yard line. Instead, it's 1st and 10 for them on about the 37-yard line. So, but we caused a turnover the very first play of the game. We had a 4 and out. We come in and had that one ugly play. We came back out in the next series, had some good plays. We had another penalty, kept the drive alive. Let the quarterback scramble out on 2 3rd and longs. Had great coverage, just get out of pass rush lanes. So some things, you know, that can be fixed. It's not, you know, getting beat. It's not things from a fundamental standpoint. I think we're playing pretty well. But just 1 or 2 guys who make a mistake here or there, it's costing us some trashy plays that got to clean up.
Y'all really got after the, I'm sorry.
Go ahead. Well, you get 4 punts, you got 3 takeaways. It should have been 4 takeaways. I think they had half of their series, they had no first down or 1. But at the end of the day, you go back and look at that dozen plays, and you know, when are these going to get cleaned up? That's the thing we're going to really put emphasis on.
The young guys you played a lot of them. What was your feeling about how they played as a group?
Towards the end, we did. At the time we got them all on the field, really the other team had started just running football, basic runs, and they played okay. Didn't get challenged at all. You know, wasn't anything going on that got them challenged. I thought, you know, a couple of those mistakes we're talking about in the early part of the game were a couple of our younger players involved in those. But, you know, at least we got them on the field and got some game experience. But there wasn't much to it. You know, they weren't opening up their offense or anything.
Ellis, Montrevious had 6 tackles, 3 for loss, and a sack. I mean, do you think yesterday's game was maybe the start of something big for him?
Yeah, I hope so. He made some really dynamic plays, and you know, gave some really big pass rush one time. Great inside move. He's playing both tackle and end, and he's making some mental assignments that are hurting us. And it's hard for him to learn both sides, both positions, you know, inside and outside. So, but right now he's giving us so many good plays in those 2 positions. We're still kind of rotating that way. But he's starting to come along. That's a pretty heavy load for a guy his lack of experience to play both positions, and also in our dime package. You know, we're playing in both positions. So by the time you add all that up, it's a lot of assignments.
You got 2 sacks out of the interior of the line. Is that one of the ways you can kind of make up for those guys kind of having to get somewhere on the edge?
That's what we really are. You know, we've got a couple of edge guys, but really when we rotate, we get in our 2 deep. If you look at our best front 4, we've got better push than we do edge. And it's not that it can't be effective, it can be really effective. The biggest thing that's hurt us on pass rush right now is some lanes opening up where the quarterbacks gotten out and escaped.
Were you encouraged by the pressure you got on the passer yesterday?
A little better. The problem is we got to keep him caged. We're giving up some first downs on scrambles and scramble routes, but we're getting to the quarterback. And a lot of times, you know, sometimes, I mean, I don't know if overrated is the best word, but I'd almost rather knock the quarterback down 7 times in the first half than sack him 2 or 3 times. I think you get a lot better. Sometimes you get a lot better results, really, when the quarterback gets hit. When you sack him, there's no chance for an interception. But sacks are obviously a big deal. They're very important. but I think hitting the quarterback is just as important. And there was a lot of that the other night, whereas the first game, I didn't think we did very well.
Ellis, how much are you concerned about the propensity for like big plays, getting past the game? Obviously a big thing last year. It seems like there's more potential this year. And without a real solid pass rush every down, seems to be some trouble.
And that's what I was alluding to earlier. It's things that have got to get cleaned up. And sometimes it is pass rush, but not always. And it's just some miscommunication, or somebody gets their eyes in the wrong place, but it's got to stop, you know. And doesn't matter if it's one guy or six guys. The mistakes are what's causing those trashy plays and things that give up cheap yardage. You know, make them earn it. You know, make them go the hard way. And other than about 6 plays the other night, you know, pretty good defense. But those, you know, that's a big if. You know.
Ellis, what do you say to the linebackers, Casanova and Chris, especially that first group?
Well, they made a lot of plays and a lot of production. I was a little disappointed in a couple of their missed assignments. We had a couple of blitzes that they didn't execute correctly, but they made a lot of tackles. I think as a pair, I think if we ever wanted better games, between them they had about 15 tackles in on about 7 or 8 more, and didn't use them quite as much in blitzing off the edge as we do. Inside they were okay, didn't get to the quarterback, but created some pressure up in there. But I was pleased with their play overall.
I'm not sure if you had a chance to really watch any of Kansas State's obviously a while away. You mentioned the running lanes for the quarterback being an issue. Their quarterback excelled at that. Really, that's how they won the game Saturday. How much you stress in that here in the next 10 days?
Yeah, it will be critical, very critical. You know, every quarterback we've played has been pretty mobile, but not like this guy. Because I mean, Coach Snyder's going to run him intentionally about 30 times a game, so we know he can run when he has to. But that will be a big deal, and really just, you know, being able to fit the run against him, period. I've watched a lot of their film, but it's all 2013 film. I have not yet watched their 2 games from this year, and we'll certainly start on that tomorrow. We'll have a player day off, and we'll spend all day tomorrow on Kansas State. But that's a big part of his offense. He likes big, physical, running quarterbacks. They either have ability to run over you or speed, or whatever their knack is. And he designs his offense to run the quarterback. So you can bet in a passing situation, keeping him bottled up is going to be a huge challenge.
Outside of the interceptions for Maine had these back-to-back games, what else is he doing very well? He just seems to be doing very well in the open field, making the tackles when you need them.
Who'd you say?
Jermaine
Whitehead. Yeah. He's been very good, some run support, done a good job for us. Missed a couple of checks out back. He should be better as old as he is. But I think he's had 2 really good games. He's obviously the old man back there that can kind of keep things settled down, and he's got to be 100% for us. Got young safeties playing beside him that, you know, they need his help every now and then. But he's played very well the last 2 games.
How did the young guys do this game compared to the first game, the young safeties?
Did okay. You know, we had the miscommunication on the touchdown. It was between one of the safeties in the corners. It wasn't the safety's fault, but I think there was a check going on that may have confused the other one. They made some plays in the running game, run support, thought they tackled a bit better. Holsey had some really good coverage, got beat once, I thought, inside on a slant, but he made some really good plays in coverage, made a great play on a screen pass. We've got some depth now, not only at our corner position, but when we go to a dime package, Holsey has given us some depth in there with Garrett and Therese and those guys. And he had some production the other night.
How much has Mincy upped his play this year already in a couple of games?
He's played pretty well. Yeah, played good.
Well, let's talk about the backup linebackers getting to play. How did they do? And also Camille President playing for the first time.
You know, last year it was linebacker by committee, and I don't think any linebacker played more than about 47, maybe 52 plays last year in any one game. I may be wrong, but it was a lot of rotation. This year I've not had that luxury, but one reason because I think the 2 starters are that much better at this point. Swain gives us a lot of experience. He missed spring ball. He's still most experienced, probably most dependable I got behind him. Trey made some mistakes the other night. He wasn't himself. I think he's going to really be a fine player. He had a little better first game than he did second game. I hope he's not getting that overloaded freshmanitis, but he's a really good player, and I think he's going to be fine. Just made a couple of key mistakes. Had to pull him out the other night. The other guys, you know, haven't contributed as much right now. I've got some confidence in them, but they're going to have some more work and practice before I'm going to feel totally comfortable. President had a couple of good plays. You know, I think Rodney would say he's a fifth guy right now, but he had some good plays the other night and played very consistently for us.
In your experience, what can an open week or this early in the season do for a defense?
I don't need it. There's pros and cons on all of that. One time I had an open week after an opening ball game. I didn't like that. That was, you know, about the time you kind of finally get out of preseason and get going. But we've had 2 ball games, and it's a Thursday night kickoff and a very unorthodox offense. And I kind of like the way it sets up. We've got a few extra days to try to look at what they do, because it is very different in some aspects. And then we'll have a couple of 3 extra days for the next opponent. So, you know, it's an open date, but it's really kind of like 2 extended weeks. If we had an open Saturday and didn't play till the following Saturday, you know, I've never really liked that real early in the season, but, you know, you deal with all of them. There's a benefit to all of it. You got a little chance to get some young guys more work. If you have it happen in the late part of the year, sometimes you can get some kids some rest. So you just have to use it to the best advantage you can. But I like the way this one's falling, being a Thursday game.
Melvin was really high on a lot of the corners and spoke about how they matched up last year, even though statistically some of those matchups like Mike Evans and Beckham and those guys had really productive games against you guys, but just he felt they still played well. When you're going up against what could be the best wide receiver in the Big 12 and Lockett, just what do you think about whether it be Mincy or Holsey or Rio, just the whole group matching up against that challenge?
Well, it's tough, you know, and we're gonna see wideouts like that all year, you know, in our league. The big thing that makes it so hard for you, it's very difficult to play a lot of conventional defense against his running game, because it's a lot of quarterback running. And there's a lot of quarterback runs that are designed with play actions off of it, double moves. And so what you have is that it doesn't matter who you are, you're gonna have to single cover Lockett sometimes. It doesn't matter which player, it doesn't matter what team. You have to single cover him sometime in order to stop the running game. And you have to do a good job of mixing so that you don't give him a steady diet of it. If you try to double cover him, you're gonna be down somewhere in the box. And they got a couple other kids that are really good receivers too. But you're gonna be down a little bit in the box with those quarterback power runs and other things that Coach Snyder does. So it's a definite challenge, and I guess everybody in this room has probably seen their offense over the years. They keep having those 2-star recruiting classes and end up in the top 20 every year, and that ought to tell you what a great coach he is and how tough that scheme is to stop. So it's gonna be a challenge, and he is a really good receiver, but he benefits also from that aspect of getting that zero coverage out there one-on-one quite a bit.
Last one. How healthy are his defense going into this bye week? Noticed Whitaker didn't play, I don't think a snap yesterday.
He did play.
Oh,
Didn't
I'm
play a
sorry.
lot. They rotated just fine. He has a limit to what he can do in practice and games. Just a number of reps. It's a knee injury that, you know, could do surgery, don't do surgery, but it's irritating. The more physical work he does on it, the more it inflames. So we have to limit it. But he's just, you know, that's something he's got to deal with through this final season. We're pretty healthy. Don't have anybody out. We've got some that could use these 2 or 3 days of nicks, bruises, and bumps, but nothing serious.
All right.
Thank you.
Ellis,